mean? How much is a lot of money to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Have you made, say, millions of dollars?
No.
Are you a rich man?
When you mean rich, what you mean?
Do you have a lot of possessions? A lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life, forever.
Well, good evening. I'm Jo Lena Johnson, host of the Authentic Joe Show. My first name is Jo, and my middle name is Lena. Jo means love, and Lena means light. And my hope is to bring some love and light to your life today, live and in person, as well as when you watch this on the replay. I want to welcome everyone who's watching on Facebook Live and also those who are watching on YouTube Live. When you see this show, please like it, please share it, please comment. If you have something important to say and you'd like to join our broadcast, somebody's gonna post the link to this broadcast in the comments right now. Watch, it's just gonna magically appear even though I'm not touching anything. And I just want to thank you so much. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here with us tonight, and we really appreciate it. Tonight's conversation is about creating a money mindset. And I wanted to talk about this because I think a lot of things we inherit, we don't really think about, so they become inherent. Okay. So what I mean by that is when I went away to college, I used Tide and Bounce to do my laundry. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, my better question is, why did I use Tide and Bounce? See, it appeared. There's the StreamYard link. So if you want to join us, please feel free to come on in the green room. Okay, so why did I use Tide and Bounce? You got it, because my mother did. And a lot of things we do because our parents did or did not do. So someone in my life who shall remain nameless smokes cigarettes, and I do not smoke cigarettes. One of the reasons is I do not like cigarettes, but they are imposed upon me often, okay? And so it's just one of those things that happen. And so I think we kind of inherently do and inherently think about certain things. So if people are loud in your household, you might be very loud, or you might be very quiet because they were getting on your nerves when you were growing up. And so I think with money, a lot of people in my generation, and I've revealed I'm in my early 50s, we weren't really taught about money. We weren't really taught what to do with money. And there are three things you can do with money. You can buy things, you can earn it, and you can save it. So you can spend it, you can save it, and you can earn it. Those are the three things you can do with money. But did anybody sit down and teach you anything about money when you were growing up? And this is a bigger conversation than money. So you might have heard of the book called The Secret, or you might have heard about the law of attraction. So today we're going to talk about some things that have to do with creating a money mindset, which may or may not be something that you have at this time. Also, as you saw with Bob Marley in the opening quote, just because you're prosperous or just because you experience abundance does not mean that you are a millionaire. I personally am not yet a millionaire. I hope one day, maybe I will be. I don't even know if I'm on track, but my guest is giving me the thumbs up and saying, yes, it's going to happen. So I'm going to take it. And that's what I'm going to say. What you think about, you bring about. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my guest. Hello, Terrence Hudspeth. How are you?
Hey.
What are you laughing about and smiling about over there?
Miss Johnson, quite honestly, I am excited. First of all, excited for the opportunity. I am extremely flattered to be here. I'm just excited about the opportunity to really, over the past 20 years, develop the mindset, but I'm excited about sharing with as much detail and authenticity as possible about I'm going to say the journey. In our community, we say the struggle. Mm-hmm. Not that it's a horrible word, but I want to talk about the journey. And so that's what I'm excited about.
All right. Well, awesome. Well,
one other thing, I'm sorry. Also excited about being the grandfather of the absolute most precious, most adorable baby in the world, Ariel Denise Hudspeth. But anyway, other than that, I'm great.
Don't be giving her whole middle name on social media.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good grandpa and an old grandpa,
right.
too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I'm happy to see you. This is the first time I've seen you in a long time. We've talked, but I hadn't seen your face in your real face in a long time. And I just want to say to my guests, I've known Terrence. I met him about, we'll say 30 years ago. We'll just say that, even though we know it was a bit longer. And one of the reasons I asked him to be on the show is because a few years ago, 8 and 9 years ago, 8 and 10 years ago. So in between 8 and 10, I was going through a real transition in my life. And I had moved out of my hometown. I've lived all kinds of places, haven't really talked that much, but I've lived in California, in Oregon, in Georgia, in Maryland, and Missouri, and I was born in Iowa. Okay. So I was going through a really hard time, and personally and professionally, and I was trying to find myself. So I was 40s, like early 40s, and I moved down to Georgia. And one day, Terrence sent me a message, and he told me about this guy, and he just sent it. And I had been praying for some direction, some guidance to change my life, to increase my income, to increase my my state of mind. And I had been praying. At the same time, I was like, I need some answers. And he sent me this video. And it was this old guy. And it was an old video. And I watched it. And I said, whoa, this is some good stuff. So then I watched another one of the guy's videos and another one. And then I said, man, is he still alive? Because he's old. And then I looked it up, and he was still alive. And at that time, I was in Atlanta, and he was doing a workshop or a conference in Dallas coming up within the next 30 days or so. And I said, and I booked that ticket, and I paid for the plane ticket and got my ticket to the conference. And I was out of there. And I told Terrence, I said, I'm going to see this guy, Bob Proctor. And that's who it was. And it was life-changing. And if you watch, I have a video on this YouTube channel that says You Were Born Rich. And my hair was long, but it was black at that time instead of blonde. I still, of course, was wearing glasses. And it was just, even when I watch it today, my aura was just like, woo, because man, it was life-changing. And why was it life-changing? Because my mindset was life-changing. And Terrence, before we have you start talking, I'm going to put up something so we can just kind of talk about this. Okay. Now, if you think about this slide here, this is a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Okay. So when it comes to a fixed mindset, let's talk about that for a minute. Failure is in the limit of my abilities. I'm either good at it or I'm not. I don't like to be challenged. I'm jealous by the success of others, and I stick with the old methods. This is a mindset, a fixed mindset. It's like maybe what you inherited. It's what you came up with. It's what you grew up with. It's what you saw. It's what people around you are doing. They have careers, or they don't even have careers. They have jobs, and it's 9 to 5, and they're going to live, die, and retire at that place, and all this kind of stuff. And that's a fixed mindset. And oftentimes when we grow up, because our self-image is created between the ages of 2 and 7 years old. So by the time we're 8 years old, who we are is almost inherently there. Now, of course, it can grow and it can mature and it can do other things, but this fixed mindset. So if somebody told you you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, fantastic. If somebody told you you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, fantastic. But if somebody said you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, guess what? In your head, you're thinking, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad. Now, whereas you have the growth mindset, whereas failure is an opportunity to grow. So an opportunity means you have a chance. And how about that? Bigger than chance, you have a choice. Okay? I can learn to do anything I want. Whoa, that's a big one. That's a really, I can learn anything I want. So I needed this back when I was at Mizzou in college, and I was getting really low grades in math, especially. Okay. And I had to retake those classes. And when I had to retake that math class, because I got a D, I took that math class again, and I had a tutor, and I still got a C. And I said, I'm changing my major because I can't do this math. I'm not good at math. I'm an average math student. So when it comes to above average math, I can't do it. And I convinced myself of that. And I even repeated that statement yesterday when I was talking to somebody about her child. That was a fixed mindset because I refuse to grow past calculus and finite math. Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay.
Yes, you're talking to me.
Okay. And then challenges help me grow. Okay. That's a growth mindset. So when I have something that happens to me and something difficult in my life, I can still grow through it. Okay. So each of those opportunities are opportunities for me to say, what am I learning? What was the lesson? What did I do well? What could I have done better? And what am I willing to do different the next time? Okay. Then I'm inspired by the success of others. So instead of being jealous, oh, they have this or they have that, you can say, wow, what's for them is for them. And I'm looking forward to my abundance. I'm looking forward to my prosperity. I'm looking forward to my success. Okay. That's like, okay. And then I like to try new things. I don't like it when I call somebody and say, how's it going? Same old, same old. Now, I mean, Terrence, you didn't know what I was going to say because I like these to be authentic things. So what do you think about this? Have I done pretty well about explaining this little graphic we have here?
Honey, let me first of all tell you, you're probably going to have to stop me from time to time because when you went back, and I'm going to tell the people, 34 years. You went back 34 years to when we were on the campus of the University of Missouri, Columbia. And you talk about how you felt about math. Ironically, or along those same lines, I felt the exact same way about supply and demand chart.
Okay.
I was deathly afraid of supply and demand charts.
Okay.
When I say deathly afraid, I would look at them.
What is a supply and demand chart?
It's a basic economic instrument that they use in any economics class to show you the lines going this way and the lines going that way, where supply and demand meets and price and all that kind of stuff. And so I remember sitting in Professor Dickhouse's class. She was Econ 1, maybe. I think it was in Econ 1, like the basic economics class. It probably had about 300 people in there. And I was literally shaking and sweating because I knew I was going to get an F. Yes. I knew I was going to get an F, but I actually got a D. But just when you talk about the growth mindset versus, understand the set you have in your mind set for you at a young age versus the growth mindset, Jo Lena, that is all the difference in the world. That is all the difference in the world.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Let me finish. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
You can choose to learn anything. And especially now with the instrument of YouTube and the social internet and social media and all this other stuff, you can choose to learn anything. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna cut to the chase here. If right now, if you're having a financial challenge and you've had it for 5-10 years, there's this thing called a high income producing skill.
Okay.
And if you live in America, you're decent health and strength, you got a car, you got a phone, you got internet, you at any time in your life can choose to go learn a high income producing skill. Now, nobody who said it's not going to be overnight. It might take you 3 years, 5 or 7 years. For me, it was a 20-year journey. And when I say a 20-year journey, I mean that. Go ahead.
Stop. That is fantastic.
I told you you're going to have to stop me.
Let me repeat what he just said. You can choose to go and get a high income producing skill. But he said you have to go learn. I take notes, you guys. So that's why I know what he said. Okay. So I suggest you might want to take notes or just watch the video like 2 or 3 times. Okay. So let me break it down in a simple way. If I say to you, Terrence, do you want to do my dishes? What would your real answer be? No, I'm sure, right?
Probably so. It depends. Yeah. I like you a lot, so I might help you on washing dishes too.
But the key question is, do you want to do my dishes?
Oh, absolutely not.
No. And so many times we ask people, do they want to do something? And we don't want to do a lot of things. But the question needs to be, are you willing to do something? Okay. Are you willing to do the dishes? Are you willing to come on the show? Are you willing to learn what it takes to be a high income producing person? Which means even at middle age, you may need to go to YouTube University and learn some things to improve your life, which won't cost you anything. Okay. Is that what you're talking about, Terrence?
Ma'am. Ma'am, you see me pointing at this camera, right?
Yes.
If you were preaching and we were in church, that's the equivalent of me throwing my shoe up there at you
There you
because
go.
you preach.
There you go. There you go. As long as you don't do this and leave the camera.
Right. Jo Lena, you just hit on something. Woo, this is going to be a wild conversation. You just hit on something that is so, again, I love everybody, but I really love Black people. I hope that don't get you back put off of YouTube.
No,
I really love Black people.
We're Black.
So, exactly. So, here's the thing. There are some phrases that I tell my son all the time. There's some things that Black people say that are the absolute detriment to us. One of them is what you just said. I don't feel like it.
Or I don't want
How?
to. Yes.
Well, let's deal with the feel like it.
Okay,
Because we, being an emotional people, we often deal with the feelings, and that's great. Everything is in emotion is in everything. Everything is an emotional decision. That's just somebody told us that it wasn't, but that's a lie. At least I think so. I don't feel like it has undermined wealth. It's undermined great relationships, friendships, marriages, father-son relationships, daughter-mother. I don't feel like it is the scourge of man.
Yes.
And I don't feel like it will keep you from the person that will bring back the thing that your family has needed since your grandmama and them were here, since your great-grandmama and them were here.
Yes.
I don't feel like it is that we need to take those 4 words from being able to put in the any kind of syntax out of the English lexicon, because it is the absolute scourge of man in progress.
There you go. And I love that you said that, because as a man, if you say the emotions are there, then people will listen to you more than if I say it as a woman. Because the feelings, so there's 2 different things. There's feelings and there's emotions, right? But I love to hear you say that the feelings are attached, because a lot of times they'll say, oh, women are emotional, but we do feel, and there is a culture to certain people. And so I think it's profound that Bob Marley, which thanks to my executive producer, we had that clip. I think it's profound that Bob Marley, of all people, would open this up, because when we look at his life now, he's a legend, right? But he wasn't a living legend, but he's a legend now. And he even said, no, I'm not rich. No, I don't have millions of dollars, but what is prosperity, or what is abundance? And so it's that which we draw to us. So I've said it before on another program or another episode. I said, whatever you think about, you bring about. And that is absolutely true. So a lot of times I don't feel like doing a lot of things, but am I willing to do it? That is the key. That is the key. So, Terrence, before we so let me tell the viewers what we can promise. We're going to give you some tools. We're going to give you some words of encouragement. We're also going to give you some tangible items that will help you change your mindset. Help you change your mindset if you are willing. Okay. So I have a couple things, a couple more slides I'm going to show, but I want to talk to Terrence. But before we get there, I'm going to see how much he wants to reveal. So I talked a little bit about my journey. I was in a bad place. I was in a bad place because I had been in a long-term relationship. I thought this was going to be my next husband because I had already had one. And, don't mention his name. You don't mention his name. And,
I wouldn't if I knew. I wouldn't do it if I knew.
Oh, you don't know who I married after college? Okay, anyway, stop. Okay, so I thought this was going to be my next.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I thought this was going to be my next husband, and I was so excited, and we had done some projects together. And then guess what? It didn't work out. My heart was broken. I was over 40. When I met him, I was in such a great mindset. I was reading the Bible every day. Now, I'm not telling everybody they have to read the Bible. I'm just telling you what I was doing, okay? But I was 40, and the number 40 represents a completed phase of time with something yet to follow. Let me say that again. The number 40 represents a completed phase of time with something yet to follow. So when I met him, I was just all excited and glowing. And then this relationship, he was cheating, you guys. I mean, that's the bottom line. He was a cheater, but his dad had been a cheater, and he was a serial cheater. Okay. And I'm going to leave that alone. Not my ex-husband. I'm talking about the guy who I thought I might marry. Okay. And what I'm saying is he learned that from his father. So when our relationship had deteriorated so bad, it took everything from me because, you know, I'm such a determined person and I believe in people, right? So Terrence, I held on, you know, I was trying to save him. I was trying to prove to him that a woman besides your grandmother could really love you. You know what I mean? That all women aren't terrible, that all women aren't going to give up on you, that I'm going to be that woman to be there with you. And I sacrificed myself.
Ooh.
So when you reached out to me, I don't even know why you reached out to me that day, but I'm going to tell you, I believe it was through my prayer. I'm like, I need help. And somehow you were sent. So when I decided for the Authentic Jo Show that we would have different types of topics, I decided I wanted this topic and I wanted to introduce people to the mindset because so many people are upset. I have had times when I had $20. Okay, I'm gonna tell a story real quick.
Take your time. It's your show.
I was living in California. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
I was living in California. Okay. Now let me talk about mindset, you all. See if you can relate to this. Okay, so I lived in sunny LA. I would go to my gate, unlock the gate, and pass the mailboxes and not check my mail. Why didn't I check my mail, Terrence? You don't even know the answer. Why didn't I check my mail, though? I did not check my mail because I knew what was in the mail.
Bills.
And I knew what was in my checkbook. Less than
Nothing.
what the bills were for.
Right.
Okay. And so every day I would pass the mailbox. And every day I would go back to the mailbox and I would get the mail out of the mailbox and I would go and put it on the counter. And what would I do? Leave it on the counter and try to act like it did not exist because I did not have enough money to pay the bills. Every day, this was going on and going on and going on and going on. So one day I said, Jo Lena, you've got to stop. I was in a transition at the time. I'd had a great job, making great money, and then things changed, and it was like, okay, I don't have enough. What am I going to do? And this is in the season right before I became an entrepreneur, and I was an entrepreneur for 22 years. Okay, so one day I say I'm going to change my mindset. I didn't want to, but I was willing. So I went ahead and got the stack, and I started going through all the bills, and I took a piece of paper and I wrote down every bill, the outstanding balance and the current balance. And I wrote them all on the sheet. And I said, Jo Lena, this is an investment in you. Your lights are an investment in you being able to see. Your hot water is an investment in you being able to wash your dishes and wash your clothes and wash yourself. Okay. Your gasoline is an investment in your vehicle. Your insurance is an investment in you being safe when you drive. Thank you, Dr. Ray, love coach. Okay, this is what was happening. Do you hear me? And so I was like, okay, Jo Lena, you got to get it together. So I consciously made an effort every single day to be thankful for my blessings, to be thankful for my investments. Now you understand this is an investment in what I want. So when we say the bills, and that has negative connotations, when we say these are my investments, I'm growing a different mindset. So it took about 7 good days. Do you hear me? Morning, noon, and night, thinking about my investments. And I went to the mailbox and I opened the mailbox and there was a check in the mailbox. Now, right before I opened this mailbox, I had gone to get some money and it didn't come out. At that time, I don't know what it is now. $20 was your limit. You had to be able to get $20 out. You couldn't get any less. I had $19.94 in the bank. So I could not get 1 cent. I said, okay, I don't even have $20 I can get. So I went home and I went ahead and faced that mailbox and I went in there and I said, this is a letter from my grandpa. And I said, I've never in my whole life gotten a letter from my grandpa. Now it was the small envelope, you know. And I opened up the envelope and it was a check for $35.
Wow.
And I said, and that's what I needed. I needed that $35. Do you understand? And that next day I was whatever I was going to go buy. And so what I'm saying is a lot of times the reason things change is not so much because we manifest it immediately. Excuse me, but it's because we change our mindsets and we attract what it is we desire. Do you have a story that you'd like to share before we get into these tools and things?
First of all, and I almost buffered the conversation. The conversation is going to go from laughing hard all the way to crying hard, probably
That's okay.
as it relates to me.
That's
Because I my mother tells me a lot of times, you know, and I hope she's listening. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Not only do I have about 79 stories, and I'm going to tell you one of them involving the absolute greatest man that ever walked the earth, George Edward Hudspeth Sr., my father. He don't like the senior
telling
part.
all the business.
No, I gotta say it because I want the world to know who they are. These are, you know, most wonderful people walking around, right? So yes, I do have a story. But before I go into the story, shout out to your grandfather, because because I'm one of them, right? That is what we were supposed to be doing. Yes. We were supposed to be preparing to provide for our, watch this and wait on it, our grown children and grown grandchildren.
There you go. There you go.
That is our job.
Okay.
We are supposed to be providing for our grown children. You're not done with your child because they're 18 and they move out, or 21 and they move out. A girl, I could go, when you talk about Terry and Alexis, I could go way off the tangent, but I'm gonna come back to the story. I'm gonna come back to the story to answer your question. One day I was at home. I was living in one of my parents' rental houses that I wasn't paying rent in. And I hadn't eaten in 3 days. Watch this. And I stood at the door and I said, I'm not calling nobody. I'm not asking nobody for $10. I'm not doing nothing. I said, somebody's going to come through that door and either bring me some food or take me to that food. 3 hours later, the greatest man ever walked the earth came, knocked on the door. He said, Terry, your mama cooked. And she told me to come get you after I got off work so you can come over here and eat. These people didn't know I hadn't eaten in 3 days. These people didn't know I went to the refrigerator 8 times thinking that maybe it's something that I didn't see. They didn't know because I wasn't going to tell them. And my mama sent my daddy over there so that I could eat. And I stood at that door. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly. I got about 79. That was 7. That's one of them. So I got about 78 more stories.
That was an excellent story. Thank you. And thank you for your transparency and telling that.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stories like that.
So I want to encourage you, if you're watching this, if you're in a season, I was just listening to gospel music before this started. If you're in a season of drought, just understand that even by watching this, you're already changing your opportunities.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You're willing to do something different. You're watching because you're willing to create a new mindset. And even if you have a lot of money, because you probably have more, oh, look at that. Woo! Creating a money mindset. You might have more money than me. Okay. But we all make choices. And so I want to go back to the willingness and about the choices. We have to be willing to learn. We have to be able to grow. And we have to be able to acknowledge that there are certain things that we learn to do and learn not what to do. Okay. So if you heard me earlier, I said there are 3 things you can do with money. And that is to earn it, to spend it, and to save it. And we're usually pretty good at spending it. Nobody needs to be taught how to spend money, but how to earn it and certainly how to save it is a different thing. And then you may be saying, well, how can I save it? Because I don't have enough. Well, Terry said you have to be willing to get a high income producing skill job, which means that you might have to go back to school at your age. You might have to learn to get a trade. If you watch my favorite, Judge Mathis, he says, what kind of skill did you get when you were in jail? Or what kind of skill did you get when you got your GED? Or what kind of skill have you gotten at 35 years old? And then they're like, well, he said, you got to get some papers.
You got to. You have to increase your skill. You have to.
Okay, so before we go further, there's something that you told me about. I do have some insight about this, and do not tell her whole name again. Your granddaughter. You told me the other day when we were talking You said,
Mhm.
I read her a book. And this past summer, I think you said you decided to start with her and you were going to read from this particular book every day. And you did that for a period of time. And then you hadn't read the book in a while. And then you went back and got the book. And she's only 2 years old, right? Is she 2?
3. She's 3 now. She's 3 now.
She just turned 3. Okay, don't say her birthday, Grandpa. And then you pulled out the book. And then she said, that's the what book?
She said, that's the gratitude book.
That's the gratitude book. And she remembered that from when she was 2, and he had been reading from that book. So what was the name of that book? Is that what you pulled out?
Yes, ma'am. This, to me, I know to my Christian parents, they're going to be like,
come on.
Can you
yeah, there it is. The Science of Success, The Secret of Getting What You Want by Wallace D. Wattles. Let's say it again. The Science of Success, The Secret to Getting What You Want by Wallace D. Wattles. Thank you.
Now, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You said that was your favorite book
in the entire world.
In the entire world. And you just said to my Christian parents, what?
My Christian parents are they're gonna cringe when I say my favorite book ever.
Besides the Bible.
You know, Jo Lena, I have to be brutally honest.
Okay.
This one, and it could have been just because of the journey that I was on. This one showed me more about me and the potential giant in me more than any other thing that I'd ever read.
Wonderful.
I hadn't read a lot, but this one showed me the potential in me and what I was not living in, what I was not walking in. But I love my Christian background, my Christian experience with, how I was raised. Yes. I love it. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. But that book right there, for the journey that I chose, it was really, 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 really poignant, powerful.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you for that. So I'm going to say my own disclaimer. The Bible is my absolute favorite book. And if you don't know, I have been a writing coach, a ghostwriter, and a book publisher for quite a few years, over a decade now. I work with over 100 authors, and I often help people tell their stories. And at the same time, the Bible is my very favorite book. It has drama. It has
got drama in it, honey. Yes, ma'am.
And at the same time, this book that he was talking about is so fantastic, and there are other books, so we don't have to compare the two. But I just want to say that because, see, even in this conversation, you had to preface it and say, my parents might feel blah, blah, blah. And that's what we do. When we're creating a new mindset, we have to go beyond some of the things that we were taught and some of the traditions that we were taught. And then we have to preface it. You all see what I had to preface earlier before I started to talk about this mindset, because it's so deeply ingrained in us that we don't get it. But why did you start teaching your granddaughter? Why did you start reading from that book?
Oh, wow. Here's what I understand. You got the thing. You can have a great start. You can have great parents like I do. You can have genius brothers and sisters like I got. You can have a support system. You can have, the most wonderful friends, all of that. But if you do not have that strong portrait of yourself, you're not going to do anything. That self-image, that, some people would say self-confidence, but I like the concept of self-image, strong self-image. If you don't have that, you're not going anywhere. And so I realized as a grandparent that, okay, I tried to do it with Terry, with, my children, and give them a strong self-image. And I think I did okay job, especially with the village around them. I think we did okay. I knew I had to do that for my granddaughter. And I knew I couldn't wait till she was 12, 15, and all this other stuff. When babies are small like that, they're geniuses. They can be over here watching TV, looking at TV, and be in your conversation at the same time. They're really geniuses. Yes. So I got to get this in her early. So, everybody's reading her, the little kid books. So, and I tell Terry, I said to Terry, it's one thing.
Your son.
Exactly. My child, my oldest child. I said, Terry, it's crazy that you tell kids, you want kids to read to you, so that you can make sure that they're developing the reading skills. I said, but how much more powerful would it be if a parent read to their children the things that the parent wanted the children to learn, and it went past 8 years old, it went past 12 years old, it went past 15, 18 years old. You know, if they could be grown and you sit down, y'all could be on different sides of the country and you're still reading to them. First of all, the level and how they develop as far as their thinking would just, you know, surpass anything. The second thing is that relationship would just be so tight and powerful, that bond. And so I said, well, you know, while she's here, that's what I'm gonna start doing. And so I started reading her out of, you know, reading to her out of my favorite book, and to give her that strong self-image. I think it's working.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to share something. So when we come back, I'm gonna share a few aspirations or a few affirmations and things. Okay, we have a comment. Strong portrait of yourself is powerful. Does Terrence have a morning routine related to growth mindset? That's the question. So think about that question. Oh, do you know the answer? Okay, go ahead.
I you know, just being brutally honest, I don't have a morning routine. I try to walk, you know, some mornings. I try to get up and read some mornings, but just by the sheer nature of my work, sometimes as soon as I hit the bed, I'm at the desk right here and I'm looking, you know, at these charts. Like I'm actually working now, believe it or not. So I don't have a real regimented routine. I just try to stay in the mindset that I can, you know, basically do all things, you know, that I attempt to do. I don't want to quote scriptures or anything like that, but I just believe in a massive way in the power of Terrence Hudspeth and the God power that lives in it.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to read a couple of things, and I want you to be able to tell us when you come back. Tell us what happened between the day that you didn't have any food and where you are now. So you mentioned you're working now. So what do you do? Tell us your profession right now. Don't tell us the story. Just tell us what you do.
The profession. I trade what's called the foreign currency.
Very good. Okay. And so I'm going to read something, then I'm going to ask you about Bob Proctor. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about some recommendations and resources that you can recommend to people to help them to change the money mindset. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about actually what you do and give people some insight into what this fascinating world is of finance. How's that sound? So don't go anywhere.
Wonderful.
I'm going to use my technology here, my technology skill.
Uh-huh.
Okay. This is my thumb. Okay, so this is my book. I took a picture of it so we can show it. So I love Louise Hay, and she's no longer with us, but this book is called You Can Heal Your Life. And in the book, she has a chapter, and it's called Prosperity. So I'm going to read from the book, but you all can see it on the screen. It says, Prosperity, I deserve the best, and I accept the best now. When you talk about changing a money mindset, okay, let's talking about changing your mindset. I deserve the best and I accept the best now. Isn't that a powerful statement? I deserve the best and I accept the best now. So that means back then it didn't work. Yesterday it didn't work. Maybe 5 minutes ago it didn't work. But I deserve the best and I accept the best now. Now, this is what she says, though, because we have a lot of blockers. You know, people say haters or fiery darts or thoughts. Those haters, those fiery darts, those things, those are in our own head. Forget everybody else. Those are in our own head. Our own thoughts impede us. So what did I say? Whatever you think about, you bring about. So she says, if you want the above affirmation to be true for you, then you do not want to believe any of the following statements. So these are the following statements you do not want to believe. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is filthy and dirty. Money is evil. I am poor, but clean or good. Really, I don't want to have money and be stuck up. I will never get a good job. I will never make any money. Money goes out faster than it comes in. I am always in debt. These are things you don't want to believe, you guys. I hope you're hearing me. Okay. I am always in debt. I'm just going to say that again. Poor people can never get out from under. My parents were poor and I will be poor. Artists have to struggle. Only people who cheat have money. We'll return to the next page. These are things that you don't want to believe. Everyone else comes first. Oh, I couldn't charge that much. I don't deserve ... Let's say that again. I don't deserve ... That money, that honey, that house, that car, that job, that opportunity, that amount of success, that abundance, that prosperity. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I'm not good enough to make money. Never tell anyone what I have in the bank. Never lend money. A penny saved is a penny earned. They used to say that. You know, they save for a rainy day. A depression can come at any moment. I resent others having money. Money only comes from hard work. Let me say it again. These are things you do not want to believe. But how many of you all can relate to what these things are saying? Too many of us. How many of these beliefs belong to you? Do you really think that believing any of them will bring you prosperity? It is old, limited thinking. Perhaps it was what your family believed about money, because family beliefs stay with us regardless of what happens until we release them. Wherever it came from, it must leave your consciousness if you want to prosper. To me, true prosperity begins with feeling good about yourself. That's what Terrence just told us. That's what he just told us. He said you must have a strong self-image. It is also the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it. It is never an amount of money. It is a state of mind. Let's say that one more time. It is never an amount of money. It is a state of mind. Prosperity or lack of it is an outer expression of the ideas in your head. Your ideas in your head. Prosperity or lack of it is an outer expression of the ideas in your head. And again, that comes from this book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And I love this book because it has a lot of different chapters in it. And this just happens to be the money chapter. But it has a lot of stuff in there that's really good. So, Terrence, what'd you think about that?
First of all, I need that book. so I will definitely be buying that book. What'd you say?
You can.
Okay, great. I will be getting that book. Unfortunately, you said she's no longer with us or passed on.
Right.
I do believe that people, when they pass on, they still with us. But that's another podcast.
We need to be on another show. But I agree with
right,
you.
that's another show. But so I would have loved to have had the opportunity to meet her, being that type of thinker. But yeah, I love it. It's spot on. Like I said, I'm gonna get the book.
Okay, so back in 2014, when you told me about Bob Proctor, and you sent me the message, and then I went to meet Bob Proctor. When you and I spoke the other day to book the show, you told me that Bob Proctor had recently passed, and I was so sad to hear it. But he was close to 90 years old, and he changed the lives and the mindsets of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people around the world for decades and decades and decades and decades. And I'd like to thank Bob Proctor. I actually met him. And I took a picture with him, and oh my gosh, I should have found that picture to put it up.
Yeah.
He looked at me in my eyes, and he was like, "Wow, it's nice to meet you." It's almost like he did a double take, and I was like, "Well, it's nice to meet you too."
Yeah. I'm sure he can see. I'm sure he can see a lot.
Well, he knew something I didn't know then. You know what I mean? And all of us have our struggles. I'm still struggling every day, and I'm sure many of us are in certain ways. At the same time, we have to believe we want more, and we have to be willing to do the work to get more. So, so Bob Proctor. So what I recommend is, if you guys put in Bob Proctor, just like it sounds on YouTube, is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos about abundance, about a prosperity, about changing your thinking, about why your thinking is similar to what this book has that I just shared with you. And it will make such a difference in your life and your world if you just take the time. So it's really about energy. As you can tell, this is a high energy show. This is a different show than we've done before, because you got these two high energy people on here, and our intention is to help create a money mindset. So
that's right.
So who else besides Bob Proctor do you recommend for people to study or to view any of their information?
There's a book, ironically, both of us being St. Louisans, there's a book by a St. Louisan from the turn of the century. The book is called Secret of the Ages by a gentleman by the name of Robert Collier.
Okay, can Collier put that in the chat? Secret of the Ages
by Robert Collier.
Collier, okay.
Yeah, my best friend and pastor of my church put me on to him. I don't know, 10, 11 years ago. Best friend in the world, Pastor Tony Farr, but he put me on him 10, 11, 12, maybe even 15 years ago. And that was kind of at the beginning of, the journey of me just really believing that I could, make the change and go to where I dreamed of going. Of course, Dennis Kimbrough, the author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. There's so many.
There's so many.
There's so many.
If they start
There's
with
so
those,
many.
it's really great because you guys, here's the thing, it's creating a money mindset. And you know what? Even if you're comfortable, even if you're retired and you're getting ready to retire from the post office, or you already did, you still may have children or grandchildren. Secrets of the Ages by Robert Collier. Although ages is not capitalized, it's great. Thank you.
It's
Look,
so funny.
I have to say it because then it'll be like, okay, you didn't say anything. So he told me to tell him stuff. I want to give a shout out to Kimmy B and Chuck Deasy for their great production skills. Okay, give it up for my soror.
Yeah.
And Chuck Deasy of Alpha Phi Alpha. I want to give it up. Okay, so
I got a bone to pick with Chuck.
Okay, we'll do
Chuck
that.
And I. No, I want people to hear me beat him up, but that's okay. No, he's a wonderful person. Absolutely wonderful person.
Okay, so here's the deal. And I don't want you to take too long because I do want us to get to some tips.
You know I will do that.
Okay, so that's why I'm forewarning you because I was told to tell you that. But you went from a day when you said, I'm not going to ask for any food and somebody's going to come. And I don't know who it is, but somebody's going to come. Now, the short story, why were you in that situation and what happened that day that said, I'm not going to ask? Because clearly your parents, you could have gone to your parents at any time and got some food. You could have gone to one of your siblings or somebody you know and say, hey, can I come over for food? And I'm sure I know you could have made a call. So what happened that told you I'm not going to do it? So day one, you didn't do it. Day two, you didn't do it. And on day three, you said something's going to change. What happened?
Right. Oh, quite. It's real easy. It's probably like more of a selfish ego thing. I just didn't want to ask nobody.
Selfish ego. I just didn't want to ask. Okay, so we could do a whole show about selfish and ego.
Yes, ma'am.
Because a lot of times we get not because we have not. And so some people will say, okay, well, I'm not going to give. I'm not going to tip. I hate it when people, I hate the word hate. I very strongly dislike it when people don't tip. When you go to a restaurant and somebody gives you service. But listen, they say a closed mouth doesn't get fed and a closed hand does not draw to it either. So if you're going to be cheap with your money, guess what? Your money's going to be cheap with you. And you're going to keep plowing here and you're not going to get any more either. This is power to the people up here.
Right.
This is your money and your prosperity right here. Okay. So
yes, ma'am.
People understand that. And so it is a problem when you have the mindset, well, they're doing their job. They're just doing their job. They're here to serve me. No, they're working. And this is traditionally what you do is tip. Now, I'm going to talk about tithing real quick. Then we're going to get back to you.
Okay.
Tithing works. Tithing is a principle. So it is when you are in a position where you are gaining something from a place, you should also give back to that place. So tithing 10%. Now, I understand, though, that we have some people in the pulpits who have often taken advantage of certain liberties that followers give them. And therefore, some of us choose not to give monies to those areas, and then we choose other things. So, for example, this year, I'm so proud of myself. I did not say two other people know this, but this year I decided that I wanted to do something significant with some money, Terrence. So guess what I did? You
gave it to somebody.
Yes, our particular church organization, they had sent out a newsletter and they said, we're doing this medical debt thing. And for every $1 that you give, we'll give $100 in medical debt. For every $1 that you give, we'll give $100. And I will tell you that the amount I gave, I'm getting chills right now. Because somebody's life is forever changed because somebody came and bought that medical debt for $100 for $1. And that campaign raised millions of dollars to change people's lives right here in this area. Do you hear me? And I felt really, really good about that because I know how it is not to have insurance as an entrepreneur. I know how it is not to be able to pay bills. I don't have children, but I know how it is to see somebody you love go without because you can't do anything about it. Do you hear me? And to be able to contribute and say, here's my little money, but you're going to take my $1 and make it $100 for somebody. That is powerful. So that's what I want to say. So when you give, you do receive. And even though you give, You may not get back from that particular area, but creating a money mindset means I'm generous. I'm willing to participate in the energy. I'm willing to participate in giving back. I'm willing to participate in recycling. I'm willing to rise up. Okay, let me stop. I'm sorry, I'm preaching now. Go ahead.
Go ahead now.
I didn't expect this.
No, I understand. So were you asking me a question about tithing, or what?
No, I said I'm talking about tithing. I'm moving on. So now, creating this
great
mindset. So once you had the ego, so the first 2 days you were like, I'm not going to ask anybody, and then you said, I think you drew your dad to your house, or you drew your mama. Mm-hmm. She felt your call from her heart and said, my baby needs to eat, and she sent your dad to come and get you to feed you. Okay,
no doubt about it.
And what changed? What happened when you got there for you?
Shoot, my stomach was full. About the best cook on the planet. What more could I want? No, what it changed. To answer that question about what changed in me, and I think this is not taught enough. We actually have power. We actually have the God energy, the same energy that created the world's the same energy that created the world's allows us to create our world. The same energy that the Most High used to create the world, he puts in us to create our world.
Absolutely.
And we do not understand it oftentimes, therefore we do not use it, and we stay in situations. And I don't just mean in my lifetime or this amount of years or this situation. We as a family unit, we stay in situations because we do not use our power. And so that's what changed in me.
There you go. So thank you for that. And I want to say one of the things that we underutilize that's readily available to us is life insurance as a culture. So we were talking about Black people. So oftentimes we don't value the life insurance. And one of the things is the older people don't want to talk about the life insurance because they don't want to die or they don't want to think about their demise. So they don't want to tell you. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you know this, Terrence, but I'm telling the world. If you have a bank, let's say your bank is ABC, and you put beneficiary Terrence Hudspeth as the beneficiary, but you don't tell Terrence Hudspeth that he's the beneficiary on your account. When you die, Terrence Hudspeth will not be notified that Terrence Hudspeth is the beneficiary. So you need to tell whoever is the beneficiary that they are the beneficiary, or they will never have a chance of getting the money. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's traditional bank practice.
Wow.
Okay, so if you're given to the American Red Cross, if you're at ABC Bank, BCD Bank, EFG Bank, whatever bank it is, okay, and you have a beneficiary listed, unless that beneficiary knows, they will not initiate contact with that person. So it is very important. If you have a life insurance policy the same way, if someone doesn't know that your life insurance policy is with X, Y, and Z company, then they won't be able to go and claim the life insurance. And I have a good friend who knows to this day that his mom had a life insurance policy in his name, but she never told him what it was. And one of our traditions is don't talk about it. Don't tell them about it. Don't tell them where the papers are. Don't tell them because people are worried about somebody taking from them. I want to bury you. I'm not trying to take your little money. Okay. So,
right.
Okay. Now, that being said, I can't believe it's already 55 minutes into the show. So I'm going to stop talking now. But this is an important topic. And I hope those who are watching, we have a great little audience right now. And I know people will watch more. I hope you're getting that this isn't one sentence. It's not one thought. It's not one paragraph. It's not 10 minutes. It is a whole mindset. And if you've been on this earth for 10 years, 20 years, 52 years like me, it will take a lot for you to repeat things in order to break free of some of those things that you've had. And it also for you to create something else. It is so big. So just like Terrence told you one of his stories, I told you one of mine. So Terrence, now I'd like for you to take the next few minutes and talk to us about what you do again and why you do it. And you told us that this was a 20-year journey. So you have been doing this. And what is your title again?
The actual market that I trade is called the foreign currency market, or the acronym is FOREX, FOREX.
Okay, so the foreign currency market. Okay, so I told you all about life insurance. So that's one of the ways that you can continue your legacy. There are cash life insurance policies that you can get to continue your legacy. Okay, there are other products that you can get to continue your legacy. And we have the foreign current exchange market, which is also called Forex. And so you told me that you have been spelled correctly, FOREX. Thank you.
Correct.
It's spelled correctly. Okay, he's a comedian.
Pretty good one, I might add. Right, exactly.
Excuse me. So tell us, what does that mean? And what happens with this? And you said you've been doing it for 20 years. So how did you stick? So that means that at some point you didn't have any money, but you stuck with something for 20 years. Tell us about that.
Yes, I stuck with it. I actually did have some money. I had a pretty decent job with a bank. Was able to save some money, put some money away. But I found out about this market because I was trying to find out about something else that the bank was doing to make some money, and that they shut it down on me. So I had to go find out something else. So I was reading and just picking up little pieces of information about this thing called Forex, the foreign currency market. And so I read, like, on the internet, that this is the market that your major corporations make more money in versus what their core businesses are. So Dell Computer was making more money exchanging currency than making computers. Ford was making more money exchanging currency or investing in currency than making cars. It was absolutely crazy. So the bank that I was working at, I was looking at the annual report, and I saw all the money they were making off credit cards, loans, and all other stuff. And then I saw what they were making in the currency market. I said, this is more money than all this. So I need to go find this out. So I just did my research and everything, tried to find out, where I could learn it. And you're talking about 2003. So absolutely nobody was teaching Black folks this. 0 people were teaching Black folks this. So I just said, well, if it takes me 10 years, that's what I said starting out. Okay. If it takes me 10 years, I'm going to figure this out and figure out how to make $1 million. Okay. Well, it took 20.
All right. Well, there you go. But the fact that you stuck with it, okay? So this is what we're talking about. You're creating a money mindset. So did you all hear what he said? He said, nobody was teaching anybody like me how to do it, but they were making so much money. I was willing to invest the time to put into it. And it took me twice as long, but I stuck with it. Talk about tenacity and resilience. That's amazing. So how does this work? Can you just give us
sure.
We'll start here. Give us 3 things that we should know about Forex. And Chuck, can you put it back up? Forex spelled, so we can see what we're talking about. The foreign. Okay. 3 things.
The crux of it is there are goods and services that originate in one country, and one country's currencies, or one country's bank is financing, these items, but they're going to be sold or consumed in another country.
Okay.
So the mere fact that you got those 2 countries doing business with each other creates an opportunity for the people that understand, because they have to be exchanged for one another. Those currencies have to be exchanged. Okay. Creates an opportunity for a person that can read charts. They can say, okay, the British pound is going to go down against the pound yen this month or this week. And if you know how to read the charts and you put the trade in and it goes down, hey, you make money. Now, if you put the trade in and it goes up, not so nice. Right. But there is a way to learn how to read these charts. And so that's one thing. The other thing is, it doesn't take a lot of money to start.
What's not a lot of money?
Oh, like $250, $500, like to open your account. Now, you might not make a lot of money off of that small of account, but you can start working to put down like a $20,000 down payment on the house in a couple of years or 2-3 years. Yeah, you can do that. So but you got to learn. But you got to learn from the right people. So it doesn't take a whole lot of money to start. Now, what might take you a lot of money is to learn how to be profitable. Okay. Now that's a different story. So you're either going to pay to learn somebody's system that can prove to you that it works, or you're going to pay by losing a lot of money. And hopefully I'm okay to be transparent on here. In that 20 years, I lost over $100,000.
Wow. Woo.
Yeah. So I didn't get in this just to make $250,000 a year. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. No, we going all the way up. And then what DJ, whoever that is,
Yeah,
say
that's
all
the
the way up.
song.
Yeah, that's right. That's the song. DJ Khaled, who is
All the
that?
way up. All the way
Right,
up.
whoever that is. Yeah,
I
we
don't
going
know.
all the way up. So that's so hopefully I covered the three things that's why the market exists, that you can start as far as simply opening your account for a little money, but it's going to take money to learn. And real quick, there are two people that I'm actually, am I able to tell, like,
Yes,
tell people who they can go to
before you say
to learn?
I have one
Okay.
question though. Okay.
Sure.
So I personally am not interested, Jo Lena Johnson, in learning how to trade because that is not my forte. However, as an individual who may come up with $250, could I go to someone who could do this for me, or is this something I need to do myself?
You might be able to find somebody, but
that's not how it works.
You might be able to. So I'm going to say you possibly could. But
that's not really how this works. Is that what you're saying?
That's not for that amount of money. No.
So how much would it take to have somebody be interested in probably work realistically?
Oh, probably a minimum, I don't know, 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, something like that.
Okay. So if someone had $20,000 and they said, hey, I want to invest this, then there may be somebody who says, oh yeah, I'll help you do that.
Oh, yeah, there are licensed people out that, will take people's money and, this, that, and the other. But yeah, that's possible. Definitely possible.
Okay. I have another question. So why should someone even consider Forex, hearing that you've lost over $100,000 and that it took you 20 years to get to success on it? So why would anybody even consider that? That sounds kind of cuckoo. Oh
yeah, but I've been known to be crazy at times, so that's fine. Again, I just believe. So why would somebody do it? Here's the deal. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men, on the planet, and I think he's around, I don't know, somewhere between $8 and $12 billion or something like that. Warren Buffett made over $1 billion in one single night. No, I'm talking not Warren Buffett, George Soros. George Soros. Not Buffett, because Buffett, I believe, is worth a whole lot more than that. But George Soros made over $1 billion in a 24-hour period, investing in what's called the Brazilian real, whatever the currency is, $1 billion overnight. So if he can make $1 billion in one night, I believe over a 20-year period, you can probably, make $2, $3, maybe $5 million.
Okay.
So that's why. And the skill is there. Number two reason is there are people, like I said, back then, me and my two best friends, we were trying to learn and we paid people to teach us. One of them just took our money and never responded. Another one took our money and taught us a lot of craziness that didn't actually work. And then another one had my two buddies going out to Las Vegas to try to learn the course. And when they got to the course to sit in the course, found out, they told you wrong. It's not for the Forex. Whatever they were teaching was not for the Forex, and didn't refund their money. But right now, you can turn on Instagram and you can find people, almost anywhere. Now, some of them are frauds, but some of them are very real and they're very credible. There's a guy in the local area. His name is Courtney Logan. He has a company called the RFX Academy. Okay. People come from literally all over the world. He went to the London School of Business and Economics. People come from all over the world right here to Fairview Heights to his facility to learn to trade.
St. Louis area.
Exactly. And to trade to learn how to trade specifically the foreign currency market. And he was a judge. He's, of course, an attorney, blah, 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 blah. But you can go to Courtney Logan, RFX Academy, and learn. There's another young lady that I know personally. I know her husband personally. Her name is Daisy Duncan.
Daisy like Duncan. Daisy, but with the A on the front?
It's African. It's ADAEZE. ADAEZE. A Daisy Duncan. Okay. She was a former teacher.
Okay.
She's very, very credible. She will take the time to teach you how to learn this market. Courtney is a little pricey, but it's worth it. A Daisy is not pricey at all. You just got to do what she tells you to do, and you can learn how to trade this market.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, so I had a question. Someone said, do we have any Black lawyers in St. Louis area who specialize in estate planning to assist in discussing these issues with our families? We will have another show, Mr. Bob Davalina. We will have another show about that coming up in our series, okay, in one of the upcoming episodes, probably before the end of the year. So thank you very much. And they won't necessarily be from St. Louis, but I am calling on my folks. Okay, so this is a lot. So
there's a lot.
People pay this Courtney Logan to go to the RFX Academy to learn how to do the trading. So this is an investment in your high income producing skill if you go to this academy to learn how to do it. And if you're going to do Forex trading, then you must have some money and you must have a lot of time and patience. And I highly recommend that you learn how to do it correctly, which is why I'm so glad you gave these resources, so that instead of taking 20 years like it took you, it might take them 2 because they learn the right way. And I love that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Or less. It won't take you 2 years to learn.
Well, how much money do you have to start if you learn?
You mean to pay these people?
Well, no, I don't. You don't have to tell their prices, but I'm saying if I wanted to start Forex trading, if I changed my mindset and said I'm no longer bad at math and I can earn my own money every day and I can get on this computer and learn these, what did you call them? Charts.
Oh, these price charts.
These price charts. If Jo Lena Johnson could change her mindset to do that,
I
don't know if it's gonna happen.
No. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that for a second.
Go ahead, deal with it.
I believe my parents are listening. I know my sister is listening, but I believe my parents are listening. And if my mama could come on, and I'm glad you're being vulnerable like that and transparent, because that is allowing me to do so. When I was a kid, all my brothers and sisters are the geniuses.
Yes.
All 3 of them. All of them. You know my brother. So I didn't grow up feeling like I was a genius. Like, you see these people around you, your 2 little sisters, they smart, and your brother, he's smart. And she's like, yeah, what happened to me? So I had this same thing that you dealt with with math. I had it at an early age. As a matter of fact, I had a 7th grade. I was living in Memphis at the time as a kid, and I had a 6th or 7th grade math teacher tell me, it was ironic. It was 3 other Black boys. They need to put you guys in trade school. You'll never learn anything. This is what he told me.
I believe you.
This is what he told me.
In
White
St.
man.
Louis, yes.
No, yeah, he was in Memphis. This is in Memphis at the time.
Okay.
I lived in Memphis as a kid for a while, and that just stuck with me.
Yep.
And my mama knows she vouched for it today. So when I went through high school, I can remember sitting in high school, not knowing what I'm gonna do in college, and they're talking about all this stuff. And I was deathly afraid of math and anything that had to do with economics or charts or anything. So, Jo Lena, when I tell you that I was way worse than you in your apprehension to attack math and numbers, and then you put it in the context that the greatest, smartest man that ever walked the earth. You grew up in the house with him. He's got 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, a PhD. He's a math genius. So now I got that context to compare myself to. So now I'm really horrible I feel horrible, absolutely horrible. But Jo Lena, this is what happened. I said, these people on these jobs will never pay me enough to raise my children and provide for my children the way I want. So I got to figure out how to make them. It was not an option.
There you go.
And so when you put that on yourself, you literally have to become a bigger person. So it took me 20 years, but if I had a different belief, it probably would have taken 2 or 3 or 6 months or 8 months. But I want people to understand, to address the thing. Well, that sounds crazy. Why would they do that? It doesn't have to take you 20 years. Number one, there's so many more people teaching you now than it was in 2003. The other thing is, where else can you go and sit at home in a robe and make 4 or 5 figures a day?
I love it. Did you hear what he said? You can sit around in your robe and make 4 or 5 figures a day. if you
and
do
don't have to
more
work all
training.
day. Now I work all day because
Okay.
I got bills, I got big bills, I'm behind in a lot of stuff. So I work all day. But you don't want if you don't have the craziness that I have going on to address, you can work 2 hours a day and be good and close the computer and go play tennis or go smoke a cigar or something. So that's why people would do it. It doesn't have to take you 20 years. I'm just on here to tell you that it took me 20 and tell people that listen, it took me 20 years. But if it took me 20 years and it's worth it, then your 2 or your year and a half or your 6 months will definitely be worth it.
Well, you have inspired me because I know a couple of people who are really interested in trying to make more money and real prosperity, real abundance. And while I am probably not going to do it myself, I could possibly benefit by that. So we'll see. It's interesting. Again, we've put our expectations. So I want to point out something. I've never talked about the pictures behind me, but you know how you talk about your dad with all this, smarts and all the
oh my God. All my family has at least 2 degrees. Everybody.
Okay,
my 3 all of that.
I'm
Mama included.
Yes. I'm going to reveal something. This picture was painted by my mother.
Wow.
Sandra McHugh.
Wow, that's dope.
This picture of me, little Joe, was painted by my dad. He's not a painter, but he painted this when I was a little kid.
Wow.
And it had lines on it. And yes, I did have an afro. And I'm going to get I'm going to get in trouble, but you see those up there?
Yeah.
One, my mom. That one, my mom. And that one, my mom. And you know what? Don't look at me, you guys. Don't look at me. But let me pull this down. This is one of my mother's paintings. And this is called She Reads, but it's Jo Lena Reads. And look at the hair.
Jo Lena. I need that.
Fine strokes by my mother.
Wow.
Okay. So what had happened was I was always interested. Thank you. I was always interested in painting. But I wasn't that interested because I could never, in my head, paint like this. So
never, right.
Therefore, it wasn't an option. Okay.
Right.
But one day somebody said, "Hey, Jo Lena, they have these art studios. And you can go drink wine and paint." I was like, "Really?" And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "I'm going." So this is my wine and paint.
Get out.
That's me in wine and paint. So
really,
but it's only because I was socializing with friends. I had some wine and I had instructions. And I'm really good at accomplishing things when I have instructions. So I love to cook. If I have a recipe, I can cook very well because I have a recipe. And if it says take 1 cup of this and half a cup of this and 1 tablespoon of this, I follow the instructions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have no aspiration to be an artist, but I absolutely knew I would not be an artist because this is what I had to look at every day. You understand what I'm saying?
Growing up. Yes,
so
ma'am.
Therefore, and this is my biological father, Kenneth Johnson, who did this. Okay, so I had 2 dads growing up, but this is my biological father, Kenneth Johnson, and so he went. So I have 2 paintings that I look at every day of me by my parents. But what was prophetic about this is a book, and it's called She Reads. Yeah. And when I was little, I was reading. And what has my life been consumed with? Reading and writing.
Books and reading. Yes, ma'am.
I started reading, and I never had an aspiration to write. And I didn't even write my first book until after 30 years old. I never even thought about it. I was actually close to 40 when I wrote my first book. And now I've worked with over 100. Yes, now I work with over 100 authors to help them write their books. Okay. But my point is what somebody puts out there makes a difference. So had this been a math book, no, I'm just making.
Who knows? Exactly.
I want to say one more thing. When my mother was painting this book, you all really can't see it, and it's okay if you can't, but this has my mom's signature. This is from 1983. And she said, "Well, I'm going to put a book down here, right?" And so she said, "Well, what subject should it be?" And it says mathematics. I said, "I hate math, so put mathematics down here." So you know how we were talking about that fixed mindset? Do you remember that earlier when we came on here? We were talking about the fixed mindset. Okay. So remember when I said if you have a fixed mindset, you limit your abilities. You don't like to be challenged. You stick with the old methods. Even in 1983, when I was 13 years old, and my mama was like, I'm painting this, and it's going to be a reflection of the day, and it's going to be outside of the school, and the girls are going to be gossiping. And, you know, she even has some, the outfits that we used to wear in the early 80s, and now they're coming back with the leg warmers, okay? But she said, oh, put this book down here. What should the subjects be? Math, because I hate math. And guess what? Okay, so my point is, we are all victims and products of our environment. Yes, so my mom was a talented and skilled painter. This is her job. She was self-taught, and then she became a commercial artist, self-taught. Okay, so when I saw art, I never even had the aspiration because I couldn't do what she did, and I didn't want to. But I am creative in other ways. So I did crafts and I wrote and I did this. So just the way that she expresses herself. And then I have a close relative who's in construction. Okay. And he builds. And then I go and sometimes build. And I love it. But I don't have to do it, but I like to do it. And see, this is where we have to think about. If I want to create a money mindset, I have to be willing to do it. I may not want to learn. I may not want to lose money. I may not want to invest in learning. But if I want to reap the rewards and the benefits, I must be willing to say, I'm no longer going to step on this math book. I'm no longer going to limit my thoughts and feelings. I'm no longer going to think these negative things about myself. And I'm going to be open to my opportunities and willing to do the work. Do you agree or disagree, sir?
I wholeheartedly 130% agree. There's this thing called inspired thought. When you have the idea that you desire this, down the road. As soon as you think that, the Most High is going to give you inspired thought. Absolutely. Now, the question is, are you going to follow that inspired thought, or are you going to go back to the closed off mindset that you had displayed in the graphic here? The growth mindset says follow that inspired thought.
Yes.
The fixed mindset says, that ain't gonna work no way. If there were people so close to me that told me, you'll never make it. They told my son, you'll never make this kind of money. Your daddy's crazy. They ain't gonna let you make. And we doing it right now. And these are people that are close to him that told him that your daddy wasn't, and this, that, and the other. And the thing about it is, we both could have believed it.
Yes.
But I'm like, no, I got two precious ones, and I know I'm gonna have some. They gonna give me some more precious ones. And I'm gonna say this, Jo Lena. I'm gonna say it. And hopefully you don't get kicked off YouTube. I wasn't going to leave my children to corporate America. I would say another word, but I'm not going to leave my children to corporate America. Like, okay, I have a daughter that's in pharmacy school now. My son works with me. I have a daughter that's in pharmacy school now. I already know I'm going to give her 3 years in corporate America once she graduates next year. After that, you're coming out of there, and we're going to take this money that I scuffle to get, and we're going to start you a medical equipment company, pharmaceutical, whatever it is. You're not going to stay there because they will do nothing but sap you and soak you all the good stuff out of you and leave you hanging out to dry. And we don't understand that that's what the corporate setup was about. It wasn't to advance you. It wasn't to put you in a position where you could live next door to your boss in the same neighborhood. No, it was so that they would pay you just enough to keep on coming. And I'm like, okay, you want to keep a job, fine, but give yourself options. Forex is one of those options.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I can go on and on.
One of the things that Terrence said earlier was self-image. You must have a strong self-image in order to be successful. And even in his lowest times, he was willing to hang in there. And you heard him say, I have children and I knew I was going to have grandchildren and I'm creating a legacy. And I love it that you're willing to do that. I think too many times people say, oh, they're 18. Like you said earlier, they're 18 to go. This is wrong. This is a wrong. And if people were allowed now, I know COVID has kind of changed culture a little bit. So families are starting to live together a little bit more and a little longer and things like that. Just a little, but everybody's struggling. And if you see, there's a lot of different cultures of people who they will start a business and own it. And everybody in the family will work at that business. And they will start as little bitty kids and they will learn those skills. And before you know it, it's a whole bunch of cars because they're living in one house. They got one business. They got 8 people in the family working in the business. And then all of a sudden they have more cars, more houses, and everybody's contributing and everybody's contributing. And I'm telling you, this is creating a money mindset because they're willing to work for it. And just like you said earlier, one of our problems, Walter Daniels, bless you.
What's up? That's my brother from another mother right there, Walter.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you. So
I love Walter. Love Walter. Love his family.
I don't feel like it. That is hindering us. I don't feel like a lot of things, but am I willing to do it? Am I willing to do it? And so if you want to be successful, you can best bet George Soros and Warren Buffett and all these other people that we will remain nameless because I'm mad at one of them right now. A lot of mad.
Right.
Who's trying to destroy our world, but that's another thing.
Yeah, no.
You know, you
but let's deal with that for a second. Let's the real
They want to. Okay, I'll say it. They play the long game and we don't. Go ahead.
Exactly. But Jo Lena, I'm so glad you said that. You said he's trying to ruin our world. Watch this. Jo Lena, do you know how? It's two reasons why he's in the position to ruin our world. Number one, he has the money. Okay, great. Okay. Number two, the good people didn't believe in themselves to go out here and get the wealth and the power to make the world better.
There you go.
That's why he's in the position to do what he's doing. That's why these raggedy, nasty people are able to do what they're doing. Because the good people sitting at home, coming home from work, drinking a beer, watching a football game for 40 years.
Thank you.
That's why they're able to do it. That's why we need more people with the mindset to go out here and say, look, a bit right now. I told my son today, I said, Terry, that should be 100 Robert Smiths. It should be 100 Negroes worth $4 billion. Thankfully, we got one right here in St. Louis by the name of Dave Stewart, bless his heart. But that should be 100 Robert Smiths, paying off all the debt at these HBCUs. Why aren't they? Because the good people are sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs, waiting on somebody to come get them out the sky, whatever the case may be, waiting on somebody else to do it. That's why these people, I don't know who it is, George Soros, the Buffett, whoever. That's why these people are able to do this evil stuff. They got the power, and because the good people are sitting at home on their thumbs.
And so, what I would say is, and a lot those good people that you're talking about, a lot of them were raised in a way that was limiting. And so that's why it's time.
Yeah, I agree.
Creating a money mindset means that you must be willing to learn. You know, my primary work, even though I've done the book coaching and things, has been training and development. And I love to learn and I love to teach. But I love to teach, not because I think I know everything, but because I know we can all grow if we learn more. And a lot of times on our jobs, people don't often want to go to training because they think it's boring. They don't want to go to training because they think it's a waste of time. So as long as you think it's a waste of time, you're going to stay where you are. So anyway, Terry, I just want to say this is our longest show ever, and I'm so excited.
You have to break this up into 3 parts when you put it on the internet.
But I do want to say thank you so much. And for those of you who have been watching, he shared with you a really great opportunity. And if it's for you, or if you think it's even for you, then go ahead and check it out. You can rewatch the broadcast. And I'm going to ask you guys, thank you all so much, those who are watching on Facebook and those who are watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching. And if you like what you've seen, please share it. Please please put comments. Oh, yes. There we go. Authentic Jo Show. Yes. Thank you. I was like, what's happening?
Right.
Okay.
What's happening? Right.
And so, Terry, I just want to say thank you so much. It is really an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be with you tonight. And I want to say thank you for your dedication, for your loyalty, for being the father that you are, for being the grandfather that you are, for being the man that you've always been. I mean, I met you when you were a very young man. We weren't even 20 years old when we met. And I just want to thank 17. You. I knew that this was going to be a solid, authentic interview. And I want to thank you from my heart for sharing what you've done. And you've certainly inspired me and actually given me some confidence. I'm going to look into this. But I know several people who have been looking for more, and maybe this is their answer. And that's why I wanted to do this show, because I wanted to give people answers. Do you?
Jo Lena, if you don't mind me jumping in here. Number one, let me show you how timely this is. If you had called me 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to do this interview. Okay. If you had called me 3 months ago, I I might have been able to do, and when I say wouldn't have been able to do, I mean do it in good faith.
Yes.
Because when I say this was a 20-year journey, like it's still a journey, but I understand exactly what I'm doing enough to make money every day now.
Yes.
I wasn't there 6 months ago.
That's amazing.
Even after 20 years,
I'm
I
with
wasn't
you.
there 6 months ago. So I appreciate you and you following Inspired Thought to call me when you did. Maybe you thought to call me a year ago, but divine timing it wasn't for that. It was for when you called me last, 10 days ago, 8 days ago. And I want to appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for even giving me the opportunity. Like I tell people all the time, my son has listened to all my craziness. I tell him, I said, Terry, all Black men need to be doing this. And when I say all Black men need to be doing this, we need something that we can go and not just make $27 an hour and buy a Camaro or a Hellcat Charger. We need something that could sustain us and then sustain our children and then sustain our grandchildren like the Chinese do, like these other people do. They think 100 years down the line. We only think about 2-for-1s at the club. So we need to be on something like this. And this is something that you don't have to go get a degree. If you want to go get another degree, fine. But you can do this. You can learn this. There are people that will teach you, and you can go and create whatever lifestyle you can imagine.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Terry, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to stay. Please don't leave because I want to talk to you after the show. So please stay in the studio, okay? And
Sure.
I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your knowledge. And thank you for your, like I said, your loyalty and dedication. It really means a lot.
Yes, ma'am. No
okay.
problem.
So I'm going to
You made a lot of money out of your music?
Again. Can we start again? Okay, this is me messing up.
You made a lot of money out of your music?
Money. I mean, how much is a lot of money to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Have you made, say, millions of dollars?
No.
Are you a rich man?
When you mean rich, what you mean?
Do you have a lot of possessions? A lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. I'm getting ready to do a couple of Ask Authentic Joe questions. I know we've gone over a little bit. We don't really have a time, but I'm excited because I hope this show has fed into your life, has fed into your thinking, has fed into your opportunities, and given you a chance to consider doing something else more than you're doing if you want some new results. You must be willing. So before we do my final thoughts, let me see what the Ask Authentic Joe question is for the evening. I have not seen these questions in advance, so I don't know what they're going to ask me, but let's see. Is money the root to all evil? Oh, Lord. In the Bible, it says the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money. So you just heard Bob Marley talk about money. And if you just love money for the sake of money and all you want is material possessions and you are coveting those material possessions, then certainly the love of that and putting money before all else is evil. However, earning money and doing good with it is not evil. That is my answer. Do I have any more questions? One more. I'll take one more. Can money buy you love? Woo! Yeah. I know you all didn't expect that answer, but listen, the reality is a lot of us have done things for nothing. And so when I think about some of the things I've done, if I had gotten paid for it, I probably would have felt better about it. But honestly, or more authentically, can money buy you love? No, it can't. Money is a tool through which you can create prosperity and abundance. And love is something from the heart. And I would say the question is, what's love got to do with it? So I think you need to really determine what your goals are and what you're trying to do. If you're trying to buy off another person, eventually they're going to resent it. If you're trying to buy off a position or whatever, it's not going to last. But if you do something genuinely from your heart, thoroughly, and you're doing it with good intention, and you do something with it, you invest in others, invest in projects, invest in people, you give it away, you will draw to that which your intention is. So money cannot buy you love. However, loving yourself and loving others can have you accumulate abundance and prosperity. I hope that helps. Okay, I'm ready for the final thoughts. These are my final thoughts. I showed a slide earlier, and I don't have to put it up, but it says prosperity. I deserve the best and I accept the best now. If you think that thought every single day, and every time you start to think, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, and you change your thought and say, I deserve the best and accept the best now, and you think that thought every time you feel something lacking in your life, you will draw prosperity to you. But you must also remember the list we showed earlier about the things that you don't want to think. So many things are ingrained in us, you all. A lot of people have had trauma. A lot of people have had failures. A lot of times our egos or our emotions or our feelings have been affected, negatively affected. Sometimes we've been hurt, we've been cut, we've been traumatized by life events or people who supposedly love us or care about us. And oftentimes it affects our ability to think different things and to act in different ways. However, your destiny awaits you. You were born for a purpose, and you were not born to be poor. You were not born to be selfish. You were not born to be egotistical. You were born to live abundantly and prosper and also help others along the way. It's up to you to choose your thoughts. It's up to you to be willing. And it's up to you to put in the work to learn what you need to learn in order to get what you want to get, what you are willing to get, and what you deserve to get. But want to is not strong enough. You must be willing. I'm Jo Lena Johnson. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight on this episode. And we will be back next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Time on YouTube and on Facebook Live. Please like and share the show. Leave us some comments. If you want to be a guest, send me a note. And just thank you so much for allowing me to be in your life. And be good to yourself. Be good to others. Be good. Be absolute good. Take good care.